Welcome to the official VoS Speed Clear Dervish Guide to the Tower of Strength. This is a mini guide for low-man splits which is intended to teach dervishes how to do solo ToS quest and shout wall. We start at the beginning of Burning Forest. First of all, dervish needs to safely run through the mobs to ToS. To maximize chances of survival, you should equip your Forsaken armor set with Forsaken insignias, a superior Vigor rune and Vitae runes, which will maximize your health and armor while you are running without enchantments. The main difficulty with this run is that ancient scales remove all of the enchantments from you with their rend enchantments and cause significant health degen on you as a result of life transfer, life siphon skills. This means that you should time your run and death charge correctly to avoid being killed by heavy degen. You should then death charge to the furthest foe and keep running to ToS. If the shadow patrol comes into aggro range of hydras, then pre-select one of the mesmers for your death charge target, keep running to ToS. After you arrive at ToS, switch to your Windwalker armor set with Windwalker insignias, Earth Prayer's headpiece and superior Earth Prayer's rune. Your objective is to kill 5 shadow patrols, each of which has 1 abyssal and 2 rangers. These shadow patrols are scattered all around ToS, which makes it tricky to spike them all at the same time, similar to the Tower of Courage solo. The main difficulty with ToS is avoiding 2 mesmer groups, each of which has 2 mesmers and 4 abyssals, who can remove your enchantment. Although it is a risky strategy, it is possible to spike these groups individually in order to speed up killing the shadow patrols without the need to avoid the closest mesmer group. In order to do this correctly, you need to time your death charge and enchantment string correctly, employing the same strategy as spiking the mesmer monk groups in Forge. While you're waiting for the furthest mesmer patrol to patrol away from ToS to the west, you can kill some of the abyssals from the shadow patrols to reduce the chance of KD on your spike. Then, once you see the closest mesmer patrol reaching its position on the north side of ToS, you can start casting your enchantments with VoS, Sand Shards and Mirage Cloak first, covering your Mirage with Mystic Regen and Staggering Force. The reason you want to cover your Mirage is because mesmers will remove 2 of your enchantments in the same way as in Forge, and you want to keep your Mirage to avoid being spiked by rangers and abyssal. Given mesmers are moving on the opposite sides of the group, you need to wait for them to come close to each other. The correct spot for your death charge is when you see the mesmers patrol be at the left side of the entrance into ToS. At that point, death charge into the ball, cast your Eepsock while covering your Mirage by recasting your Mystic Regen and Staggering Force. Once you have the fresh Staggering Force, you use your Irmites for maximum damage, and then 1 or 2 hits will finish off the mesmers. After the mesmers are dead, use the shadow patrol, and for your teammates to be able to send mage to ToS. The safer way of doing ToS is to avoid the mesmer groups entirely. Accordingly, you must time killing the shadow patrols at ToS without aggroing either of the mesmer groups. The closest mesmer group patrols from south to north side next to the ToS entrance, while the second patrols on a much longer trajectory from west to east. Once you're ready, run through the north side of ToS and aggro all of the shadow patrols inside. However, you must be careful not to chain aggro the mesmer group by aggroing a shadow patrol that is still in aggro range of that group. Once you aggroed all of the north side shadow patrols, pull the abyssals down and right wall block for a spike. You should then pull the rangers as close as possible to each other and spike them as well. Please do not be overly ambitious with this ball, because if you overpull the rangers, then they will break and you will need to regrab them, which wastes more time than spiking a couple of rangers that were not inside the ball. After you killed all of the shadow patrols on the north side of ToS, you need to grab all of the remaining shadow patrols next to ToS entrance and south side. In order to avoid chain aggro of the mesmer groups, you should kill any of the shadow patrols in front of the entrance first, even if it is only one group. This way you will not chain aggro the mesmer's group when you make your transition to the south side of ToS. If you did your job well, then you will have only 1 shadow patrol left on the south side of ToS. In order to transition to the south side, you need to pay attention to both mesmer groups and time your run in 2 stages. The first stage is when the closest mesmer group is on the south side of ToS and the furthest mesmer group is changing its position to the west side. When it is clear, run through to the west side and stand in the middle, which is clear from both Mesmer group. The second stage run is when the closest Mesmer group is on the north side of ToS and furthest Mesmer group is still on the west side. Common mistake on this transition is for a dervish to lose focus and not pay attention to the Mesmer, one or both of whom might be lagging behind their vessels, which reduces the space here for you to run through. Be patient, and if this happens, wait for the next rotation of this patrol, because once the Mesmer is reset with the vessel, then it will move again as a single unit, making it possible for you to make the transition safely. Once it is clear, run through the south side and you can de-seat one of the rangers to get out of danger quicker. Then pull the remaining shadow patrol in the corner, similar to the ranger tank spot for wheeling. Rangers will pull together and you need to wait for the Mesmer's group to come out from the aggro range before you spike the remaining shadow patrol. Again, be patient and do not death charge too early, because if you chain aggro the Mesmer's group, then you will most likely die. And that's it, ToS Shadow Patrol is a death and your teammates can send mage. Final point for this guide is how to do the Shout Wolf as a dervish at ToS. Again, the main difficulty is avoiding two Mesmer groups when you pull the Shout Wolf and spike it. The other consideration is that you cannot spike the Shout Wolf on the west side close to the Shadow Monk group, because they consider the Wolf as their ally and will start healing it. This means that you need to pull the Shout Wolf far enough to ToS while avoiding both Mesmer groups. First step is to make the transition into the open space on the west side in the same way as before. Then aggro the Shout Wolf, and if it is too far away, then pull him with a longbow or flatbow. If the second Mesmer group is still in the aggro range of the Shout Wolf, then wait for them to leave before you bolt him, because if you are too eager, then you will chain aggro the group as well. As mentioned earlier, it might be tricky to kill the Shout Wolf in this spot, because you need to be very quick to pull the wolf on the top of the little hill away from the Shadow Monk groups, while the closest Mesmer group is on the south side and furthest Mesmer group is on the west side. If your timing is off, then you will be sandwiched between two Mesmer groups with no space to go. As such, the easiest way to do this Shout Wolf is to pull him all the way on either the north or the south side, where you will have to dodge only one Mesmer group. The problem with pulling on the north side is if you aggro the Shout Wolf quite far away, then you run the risk that he will break when you try to pull. Accordingly, it is often easier to pull the Shout Wolf to the south side into the same corner where you did last Shadow Patrol. When Shout Wolf is sensitive to speed boost, you are better side walking when you pull him to avoid inadvertently breaking. The alternative way to kill the Shout Wolf is on the north side. As mentioned earlier, if you pull the wolf on this side towards ToS while the closest Mesmer group is still alive, then pulling him all the way to the north side will result in him breaking, as shown here. Accordingly, the better way to pull him is below the hill on top of the Shadow Monk group. Please be aware that if you try to spike the wolf while he's close to the monk group, then the monks will heal him as an ally. In order to ensure a successful spike, pull him along the bottom of the hill adjacent to the north side of ToS. You should aggro the closest monk group and pull the wolf on the little corner on top of the monk group. Once the wolf is in position, death charge the wolf and spike with your usual spike string with VoS, shan shots and staggering force, followed by pRma. It is also helpful to have the Ipsal casted as well. Spike will be successful even if the monks are slightly outside the ball, as long as the Shout Wolf is bowled with the rangers. Well, that's it folks, I hope this proves useful on your low man full run. All the best, and always yours, Darkness Behind.